Hello my friends and welcome back to my channel Coffee Tea Paper. My name is Louise and I'm here as brand ambassador today for Ferris Wheel Press. However, during my review of this ink I will let you know my honest opinion and we'll do a bit of a comparison between some other Ferris Wheel Press inks and generally just have a look at it and see how we go. This one is called Highland Smoke, and we can see we've got lots of, I guess, reminiscent of the Scottish Highlands, with rural scenery with horses and, I was going to say people, but Ferris Wheel Press characters in tweed with cats and dogs and hawks and owls, and I assume they're alluding to hunting of some type. There's a sort of a manse or a manor house in the background. So let's have a little read about what this ink is all about, and then we'll get swatching and see what we think. And this one is a part of the Summer Getaway collection, and it is a shaded warm grey with characteristics that are muted, subtle, misty. Doesn't sound very summery. No weekend retreat at Earl Grayson's is complete without an outdoor adventure. The group has decided to try their hand at pheasant catching. Okay. After a hearty lunch, friends gather on the estate's lush backlot with their hounds and horses, nets in hand. The flock is released, a stunning sight against the grey afternoon, brought to life by the flurry of activity as the game is afoot. Lady Rose carefully surveys the flock, net at the ready in anticipation of the perfect moment to land the perfect catch. All the dogs race across the field, eager and focused, except for Earl Grayson's obedient Bracco Italiano, who stays by his side until commanded. It seems some of the flock have some surprising hitchhikers. Where do you think these little creatures want a ride to? And that looks like this pheasant has a little field mouse on his back. And we have nets for netting the pheasants. Yes. Alrighty, let's get swatching. As normal, I will use a paintbrush to swatch out the ink, and I'll use a couple of different dip pens to see how it looks with a different line variation. But first we'll get the ink down with a paintbrush. Put it in my ink holder because the bottles, as tough as they are, can tend to get a little bit wobbly now and again. I like the added security of having them in these holders. Okay, let's get going with our writing sample. Let's see how this ink is behaving on our two different types of paper. We've got our Tamari River 52 GSM with a very pale grid, here. And then we have this Colour Spectrum swatching book by Ferris Wheel Press, which is a quite thick, smooth cardstock finish. And you can see that you don't get all that much variation in the ink on this, though there's slightly a little bit of lightness in the middle there. However, you get some nice shading on this Tomoe River paper, but all in all, this is a really, once again, look, I'm sorry to bang on about it, but this year Ferris Wheel Press has actually released some really good, what I would think of as basics, basic inks, which are really nice, solid, reliable, legible inks to have in your collection. I know they all come with the fancy stories and so forth, but this is just a really nice, not quite black, it's sort of a charcoaly color, has slight brownish tinge to it, particularly when it was still a bit wet. It's got some very nice shading on this paper. It's incredibly legible. I think the line variation, particularly with the thicker nib, is really interesting. I think it's going to be interesting to compare it with another one of their grey inks that they brought out a bit earlier. So I'll just see if I can find that one. Yeah, Leadcast Letters. There's not too much difference, dare I say. I'd say the Highland Smoke is just a shade or two darker than the Leadcast Letters on this paper here. I'll just flick back through my book and we'll have a look at it on the Tomoe River. Yes, in fact it was the first one I started with. So on the Tomoe River, the Leadcast Letters, which you would expect as it's just a shade or two lighter, has a bit more kind of brownish tones, and you can see that it is just a bit lighter on the page than the Highland Smoke. Do you need both of these inks in your collection? I'm not 100% convinced that there's that much difference to warrant it. If you were trying to get your hands on Leadcast Letters and you missed out, then Highland Smoke would certainly be perfect in its stead. If you want something a bit lighter than Leadcast Letters, it's just really a shade or two. And also if you used this Highland Smoke in a fine or extra fine nib, that might just be enough to get a bit of a slightly lighter finish on the page. But yeah, not all that much variation between the two inks. I did see as I was flicking through here, we also had the Wayfinder's Slate, which is basically like Leadcast Letters but with a silver shimmer. So if you would prefer your inks with shimmer in it, maybe you were looking at Wayfinder's Slate and you thought, I wish that ink didn't have shimmer, then really Leadcast Letters or Highland Smoke would go well in its place. You can see it's just that couple of shades lighter. Well, that is that for Highland Smoke. Tell me what you think. Definitely very suitable for the workplace. Very suitable dark ink to have in your collection if you wanted to. Of course, it's not going to be water fast because they're a water-based ink, so no good if you're doing sketching with watercolors or anything like that. If you wanted to just do sketching and not have it water fast, then it probably would not be a bad ink to try for that as well. And that's all I have to say about Highland Smoke. I'll be doing a couple of other ink reviews shortly. I'll try and get them all out at once. I forgot to mention that if you are in the market for Highland Smoke or any other Ferris Wheel Press products, I do have an ambassador code which gets you 15% off your shopping basket it is JA-CTP, and I of course will leave it on the screen as well as affiliate links and all that jazz in the description box. Once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up so I can keep bringing you these ink reviews and comparisons. Much appreciated. Bye!